Hey guys, welcome back to Stripped by Sia. I'm Sia, I am your host. This is my podcast. We are talking today with the wonderful Lily Luv, who is here all the way from Victoria. Say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So happy to be here today.
I'm so excited to meet you. This is actually the first time we've ever met each other, which I think is fantastic. So Lily reached out to me on Instagram and she's like, hey, I'm in town and hey, I want to talk about this. And I'm like, hey, I want you on the show. So we made this happen and now we're sitting in my apartment and we're going to have a party over the next hour. So talking about all the things today. So can we get started here in terms of like, what do you do? Who are you? Tell the audience.
Okay, so I was originally born in Edmonton, Alberta. I moved out to Victoria just over 2 years ago, and most of my life has been just like nannying. I have my own aesthetics business. I teach yoga as well. I've always been kind of like an entrepreneur, and so I was nannying for a long time there and then decided I had never danced in Canada, only in the States. So I decided to branch out and went to my first club on Vancouver Island and fell in love.
Wow.
Yeah. Since then, I made the like switch from being a nanny to a stripper.
Oh my God.
Which has been like super hilarious. Like definitely like two opposite ends of the spectrum.
No, totally. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I have so many questions already. So what the fuck? Okay, so nannying. How do you get from nannying? That just sounds like a really hot fantasy. Oh my
Nanny
God.
stripper.
Nanny
Every dad's dream.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
How did that happen? What's the story?
Okay, well, I danced for the first time when I was 19, when I was in San Francisco. And I danced for like a month while I was there, but it was like, I was too young, it was a little too cutthroat, it was pretty overwhelming, so I did that for a month, and then I actually was in San Francisco trying to make money to go and meet my boyfriend in Vietnam. So I left San Francisco, went back to Canada, and then went to Vietnam. And then we were together for like 3 years after that, and he was not down with me dancing.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so I had to take a little hiatus. And then we ended up breaking up at the end of 2018, and I booked a trip back to San Francisco to go and dance.
Yes, you did.
Yes, so I went and did that. I like really miss it. I don't know what it is about stripping, but I just like genuinely just love it as a job. It's so much fun. I love getting on stage. I love just like being sexy. I love getting paid to just like be beautiful and just be myself.
And
so.
to be naked.
And to be
Yay!
naked, yeah. Like I
Great.
always feel my best just like walking around the club in like my heels and my sets, you know? So I was definitely missing that. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I went back to California and then came back to Canada, and I was honestly, it took me a while to like get into dancing in Canada because it's full nude.
Right.
In the States it's not, and so I was like a little
Right.
bit uncomfortable. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to like branch that or not. So then I like went to JJ's on Vancouver Island, and I remember like my first dance, I was like so nervous. I actually did a double dance with Lily Luv. She was dancing there as well.
fun.
So we just like walked up to the suit and like went and did like a double dance, and she just like whipped everything off, and at the end of the dance I like still had my panties on. It's like, oh my God, I like don't know what to do with myself.
Mixing
Yeah.
there.
But then from there, like progressively got like more and more comfortable. And honestly now, like I like love full nude dances and I like full contact as well.
Wow.
So the like two things that I was like most afraid of are like actually like my favorite.
Wow.
It's more fun. It's nice not to have restrictions in dances, you know?
Totally.
Like it depends on the person. If somebody's giving me kind of like a weird vibe or is uncomfortable, then like I keep all my clothes on and dance like a couple feet away.
Yeah.
But when there's like a cutie, I'm like, hey, yeah,
Like, oh yeah.
let's enjoy ourselves. Yeah, we can
Oh
have
my
all
gosh.
the fun right now.
So fun.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Go back to, I want to know more about in terms of like stripping in the States, because I personally just have so many questions on that. And I know a couple other people have messaged me, like, how do you get started with dancing in the States, like as a Canadian? Like, how do you do that? Do you just go to the club and ask somebody, like, is there a VIP drop-in? Or like, how does that work and what are the dynamics like?
Yeah. Okay, I had kind of like a weird introduction into stripping in the States. I actually went down to like the Bay Area initially to trim. And then I was hanging out in San Francisco waiting for my second job. And while I was there, I blew all of the money that I had made from my first trim job. And like I said, I was there trying to make money so I could go to Vietnam.
Right.
So I had met these couple of girls and was hanging out with them when I got the call that my second job fell through. And I was like, oh fuck, like I'm kind of upset about this. I wanted to make money before I went home, do. And she was like, well, like you're gorgeous. Why don't you just strip while you're here? And I was like, okay. Yeah, like that sounds great. And so I like ended up getting hooked up with this one one club that I will not mention the name of that was like super sketchy. And I have on my Instagram, The Real Spiritual Stripper, I have a link to my blog, which kind of explains like this entire scenario in detail.
I have to read this after.
But like the short of it is I ended up getting linked up at this one club. I just kind of showed up and they put me up for the night. And while I was there, I met this other guy who knew most of the managers and owners of the clubs, and he got me linked up with this other club. And yeah, the manager like just so happened to really like me and took me on, and I was like technically underage at the
in
time.
The States?
In the States. Yeah. So I was just like, I wasn't allowed to drink when I was at the club. I had to keep things like real lows, and he just really loved me. So there has always been an open invitation for me to go back.
Awesome.
How other people are supposed to like segue that?
What's the real way?
I couldn't necessarily say. I had that like question, like I'd love to go and dance in Portland as well, and I'm kind of wondering the same thing. I just do freelance for like all the clubs that I've gone to. So in my experience, all I do is just send a club a message. I'm like, hey, I want to come dance here. They're like, can you send me a couple photos? So I email them a couple photos of myself, and then
that's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's literally all I've done. So that's always how I've managed to like sneak my way into clubs.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because I would love to do circuit, but number one, like my stage game isn't that strong, and number two, like I don't really like to be told what to do or where I need to go.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I like to just create that schedule for myself and kind of do it when I want. So
totally, that's like how I am in my situation too. Because obviously I work full time, I have an office job and stuff, and I can't be traveling everywhere. Nor do I really want to go to like Williams Lake or somewhere like really far away.
Yeah,
I live in Vancouver, so I'm like, I only want Penthouse, and I only want number 5, and I only want Brandy's, and I'm not going to Surrey. Like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, it's hard, right?
Well, you're lucky in that way as well, because Vancouver is just like, why would you go anywhere else if you live in Vancouver?
Right.
You know, what's the point? Like, all of the
Nah.
nicest clubs are here anyway. I guess maybe if you wanted to go like all the way like Ontario or something,
right?
I'm sure that there's some nice spots in like London and Toronto and stuff like that. But past that, like I leave Victoria to come here. You know, why if you live here would you be like fooling around going other places? It's like you already made it. You're good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of American strip clubs, again, like, do they really differ from the ones that are in Canada? Like, in terms of looks and aesthetics, and like, you mentioned that it's not full nudity there. That is so bizarre to me.
Yeah. So the way that it works, the first club that I got set up at, actually, they have 2 different rules. So there's clubs that do full nude, but they can't serve alcohol. So in my experience there, it was basically just like dudes would show up, like get a blowjob or like fuck girls in the private room and then leave. Because like you're not hanging out like having drinks, watching girls on stage. You know, like dudes show up for like a very specific purpose. So it was like real seedy. It was intense.
Super seedy at the first place, like you were
at the first place. I worked there for one night.
You're like, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
It was so overwhelming. I was like, this is too
God.
much. So then, and then I moved across the street. The place that I ended up working at a lot is called the Condor.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the Condor, when they do serve alcohol, it's just a titty bar. You do 2 songs on stage. First song, you keep all your clothes on. Second song, you take your top off. And then in dances, you keep everything on and it's no contact.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is so different. And for
Super
some reason, like, I don't know, for me, I just think that in the States, it's super fucking wild or something, but I keep hearing about this. Like, even when I was in New York City, it was just, like, more like go-go dancing.
Yeah?
If anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, like, there weren't any full nudity bars when I was there in the city. And I was there, like, last summer when I went to a strip club. I'm like, this is a strip club? Where are the naked chicks? Like,
weird.
Yeah, and then I went to Portland in January, and, like,
they don't take anything off either,
it was unreal. No, the girl was naked.
Was she?
Yeah.
Like, fully naked?
Yeah, I went to, what's that bar? It's, like, right downtown. It's, like, super touristy. I can't remember what it's called. But it was insane. Like, when they say make it rain, it was literally raining money.
Was it?
And they had to get those giant brooms
to,
like, sweep all the dollar bills into a garbage bag.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, this is real.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'll say,
so
actually,
crazy.
is, like, I've had songs on stage in California where it's literally been $400 or $500 just in singles. Like, dudes literally just come up with, like, fucking containers full of money and just, like, dump it on you. Yeah. Which is
crazy.
so lit. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a little bit different here. I feel it's a little bit weak. You were in town this weekend because you were dancing at Brandy's.
Yeah, totally.
How was that experience for you?
It was was so good.
Was that your first time dancing there, or you've been there before?
Second time dancing
there.
there.
Second time dancing.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So still super fresh. Like, I've only been dancing in Canada for like maybe 4 months.
Oh, wow.
Like, since like April or May or something.
Super baby.
It has not been super long, yeah. So
Oh,
this was my
so
second
awesome.
time at Brandy's, and yeah, I went to JJ's last weekend and had like not a very good weekend. So I spent like this last week that I was back home in Victoria just like meditating so much, doing so much yoga. There's like this like energy healer that I went to and did some work with her. So
Cool.
coming back into the club this week, my vibe was just like on point.
Yeah, and then
so
you made all the money this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. When your vibe's on point, you make all the money. So it was like I had a really good time, like just in general. I had tons of fun at the club, and then yeah, made the stacks, which always like makes the experience more enjoyable as well.
The best.
Yeah.
So again, so you started like not too long ago. You said about 4 months now.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Super
This
fresh.
is super fresh.
Yeah.
Like, how has that experience been for you so far? Just because like you're super new at it.
It honestly, it always takes a little while to get like comfortable. A big thing is definitely like just going through an experience enough times to know what to expect in terms of like, there's always when you move to a new club, for myself anyway, the worry of like, oh, am I gonna make money here? What's the atmosphere like even getting to know like the private rooms, getting to know your way around the club, getting to know what the vibe of the people are. Like, it always takes a little while to get fully comfortable.
Is that like your biggest struggle then? Is in terms of like familiarization then, or just
honestly, I would say the biggest struggle for me has just been wrapping my head around being a stripper. Just like
it's a mind fuck.
It is, yeah. Just because of so many of the preconceptions of what strippers are, you know,
Right.
like having to. My sister found out that I was dancing and she stopped talking to me for a few weeks. She was really upset about it.
Wow.
My mom found out that I was dancing. I actually just told her after that, and we had like a good like hour and a half conversation about it. I'm like super worried about like my dad and brother finding out. Like the rest of my family is like really Christian and pretty uptight, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how they would react.
So.
Yeah. So
Oh,
the biggest
man.
thing for me has just been like being secure enough in the fact that I know that I want to do this and knowing why I want to do it, that when that kind of friction comes, that I'm just like, well, no, I'm going to continue to choose me. And like, I'm sorry that you have an issue with it, but your issue is your issue.
Right.
And that's for you to sort out. And I'm just going to stay like in my own vibe over here.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that's been the biggest thing for me, honestly.
How did your sister find out? Like, how did your mom find out? Do you want to speak about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my sister found out, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. So I kept like calling my mom and my sister like as I was like heading out of town and being like, oh, I'm going out of town to work.
Oh, okay.
Hello, I'm going out of town to work. And then they would never ask me anything about it because I was like feeling shy to just straight up be like, oh, hey, by the way, like I'm stripping now. Just wanted to let you know. I kind of wanted it to be like, oh, well, what are you doing out of town? Oh, well, I'm stripping, you know?
But they never asked you.
No, they never asked. And so my sister, the first time I came into Brandy's, on the Friday when I got off the seaplane, I called her and we were chatting for a long time and I was like, yeah, I'm here to work. And she's like, you're here to work? Like, that's really confusing, but I'm really tired right now, so I'm just gonna like talk to you later. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I was like, okay, sounds good, that's fine. I don't know if she, like, a couple of her friends follow me on my stripper Instagram, so I'm wondering if they ended up like showing her the Instagram or like exactly how it all went down.
On social, maybe?
I'm not 100% sure. It was like a little bit confusing, but she ended up getting really upset with me, took it like very personally.
What happened? Like, did she start yelling at you? She called you, or was it just like, what the
fuck? It was all over text. She was just like,
so hard.
Yeah, she was like, so you're working at a club? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, which club? And I was like, Brandy's. She's like, you're working at a strip club? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, what the fuck? Like, why would you do that? Got really upset. It was weird because she took it like almost personally. She was like, how can you do this to me?
Like, I'm not doing anything to you. I'm not hurting anybody.
Yeah. I'm like, it's not about you.
No,
you know?
It's not. That's super weird. That's a really weird response.
It was super strange. And it was like, that was on like, I had danced Friday, Saturday, and this went down on Sunday during the day. So then I was like literally like on my way out of my friend's place to go and dance for the night. And I was like, obviously like my fucking cover's blown. So I like called my mom on the bus on the way to the club and was like, hey mom, like I just wanted to let you know that I'm stripping because like my sister just found out and I just like want you to hear it from me and not her.
Well, that's really mature of you though to do that and to actually go directly to your mom and be like, yo, this is what's up.
Yeah, totally.
Don't want to hear no rumors, but they are confirmed.
Yeah, totally. And honestly, like I've always like told my mom everything. I've always been really honest with her.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like starting to hurt my soul a little bit that I wasn't talking to her about it.
Yeah.
So for me now, like as I was walking here, I walked all the way here from downtown. It took like over an hour, and I just called my mom the entire time.
Aww.
And I was just talking to her about my weekend, talking to her about like my experience in the club and hanging out with my friend and whatever else.
So she's super open.
She is open.
Yeah.
Like,
now, or was she always like that? Like, how did that conversation go? Like, how did it go down?
So I told her on the bus on the way to the strip club, and I was like, if you don't love me anymore, you don't have to love me anymore. Like, this is what I'm doing.
So dramatic.
So dramatic. And she was like, well, no, like, you're my kid. I love you no matter what. Like, don't worry about it. And then we only talked for like maybe 15 minutes because then I was like at the club. And then I called her again like a couple days later, and she was kind of like asking a couple more questions like, oh, like, so what do you do there? Oh, do you get naked? Oh, do. And at first she was kind of just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. She's like,
kind
are
of
you
uncomfortable?
Yeah, she's like, are you doing drugs at the club? But then I talked to her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was the first assumption.
I know. It's like, oh, are you coked out right now? Like,
no.
Stop it. And so I just kind of talked to her about like why I enjoy doing it, what it's done for me. Because stripping for me, like it's about making money, but it's also just about like being able to fully embrace my sexuality.
Yeah.
And like being a beautiful girl, like I'm constantly being like sexualized and harassed even walking down the street.
Yeah. Anyways, it's just like part of a normal life for any woman.
Yeah. So it's
might as well capitalize on it.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well make money off of it.
Exactly.
That's exactly how I feel. And it's allowed me to like, instead of feeling ashamed about being sexual and about being beautiful, I feel like fucking empowered by it.
That's awesome.
And so I was just kind of talking to her about my experience with that, and she was like, okay, like I get it. And by the end of the conversation, we were like, good. And when it comes down to it, I'm like, well, you know that I'm a smart girl. You know that I'm not putting myself in bad situations. When it comes down to it, like you just have to trust that I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And that you just like that you raised me properly and that everything's all good. So
right.
Yeah.
And sorry, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 23.
Wow,
yeah.
baby.
Baby, I know.
Super baby.
Yeah, I turned 24 next, or I guess this month in September. I'm a Libra.
Oh, hey, me too.
Are you?
Girl.
Oh my God, of course you are. Libras always get along so well. I love meeting other Libras.
Wait,
when's your birthday?
I'm October 18th.
October 18th,
so.
Okay. I'm September 27th.
Oh
I'm kind of like Libra, Virgo class.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Well, happy early birthday.
Yes,
That's fantastic. In terms of, because you said you had mentioned when you started stripping at 19 in the States compared to now, how has that changed a bit?
Oh my God.
Because I would feel like that, like me at 19 in general would be like such a fucking mess.
Oh, I was literally just about to describe it as I was a hot
fucking mess.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I was like, I didn't have my grounding that I do now. I was like living in San Francisco, like staying in hostels, just really young, traveling on my own. Like the States is crazy. I don't know if you've ever been to San Francisco, but it's like a pretty hectic city. So yeah, I
love that city though.
Yeah, I love it, but like trying to work there for that long, and I didn't have the knowledge that I do now about just like how much energy affects your experience in the club, and I was really tired, really worn out, and my like the guy that ended up getting me hooked up with the club that I ended up working at a lot, the Condor, ended up like fucking me over and stealing a bunch of my money, and I was like really jaded over it. So I was like, towards the beginning of me dancing there, I was like, wow, like I love San Francisco, I'm having so much fun, and I danced for like a month, like pretty straight, like 4 or 5 times a week, which I would not do now. I do like a couple weekends a month, and I'm like, that taps me out, you know? By the end of doing like that many nights in a row, I was just like, I fucking hate it here.
Wow.
It's like, I just want to go back to Canada. Like, I was just like exhausted. It was way too much for me.
That is tiring.
It was.
For sure.
It was super tiring.
And it's just a very physical job too, and obviously like you're relying a lot on your body. We are using our bodies to, you know, sell a fantasy or whatever, and you know, you pay us to get naked. Do you ever feel any pressures in terms of like, that girl's bigger boobs than me, and like that girl's a tinier waist than me, and that girl's ass is on fire, I can't even twerk?
Oh my God, all the time. For sure. Like you're in a field where you're just like surrounded by other super gorgeous girls, right? And especially, honestly, like less so in the club do I feel these pressures. Usually I feel like pretty comfortable, but for me it's more so social media.
Oh, okay, yeah,
because I'm always in the habit of like, before I go to dance at the club, I'll like peep the lineup on people on like whatever club's Instagram.
Totally.
And like watching these girls, like a lot of them have like I have like 250 followers on Instagram, and a lot of these
so
girls
far.
have, still making it happen, slowly
Still
but
fresh.
surely trickling in.
Yes.
But there's girls that have like 15,000, 30,000. Like there's some girls in the States that I follow that have like upwards to like 1 million followers.
It's a scene.
Know? And these girls are like super gorgeous. And I actually, when I was with my last partner, I was like so stressed out that I could not gain any weight. And as soon as we broke up, I went from being 118 pounds to I'm now like almost 140.
What?
And so in the span of like 2 months, I gained like a solid like 20 pounds.
Whoa.
And so there are some days that I look in the mirror, like I have like a little like baby paunch in my belly, and I used to have like a straight like
the line,
yeah,
and then, like
all
the
the
other
lines,
line, all the definition,
all the definition. And so I see these girls with like these really like slim, beautiful bodies and like super big boobs, because a lot of them have boob jobs and whatever else, and like big beautiful lips. Like I've had the temptation to get my lips filled and stuff like that for sure. So
totally. Well, especially like in this industry, if you undergo a surgery or anything like that, will that enhance your career?
And that's exactly what it comes down to. Yeah, is it's just like when you're literally like, analogy that I've used for stripping is basically just like you're working at a restaurant and you're a server and the only thing on the menu is your body.
Oh wow.
You know, so sometimes
that's
it's just
a great
like,
metaphor.
Yeah, so sometimes you just wanna, like, you assume that the more beautiful you are and the better your body looks, the more money you're gonna make. And if you're in the club and you have a really bad night where you don't make any money, but that girl with a bigger butt and bigger boobs has been selling at dances all night, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I wish that I was just like a little bit more pretty so that I could be making stacks.
Right.
Which is like, honestly, it's kind of a black hole, because in my opinion, I don't think that, like, of course, looks have something to do with making money in the club, but it's way more about energy. It doesn't matter how gorgeous you are if you're walking up to dudes with a like mean, like resting bitch face and you're just like, how are you want to go for a dance? Like,
no one's going to want to go for a dance with you.
Exactly. But if you show up, like, regardless of how you look, if you're vivacious and if you're there having fun, and like when I was dancing in San Francisco for the first time, I was like, didn't put on any makeup, had like the worst sets ever, looked like a fucking Bambi in my high heels because I'd never walked for them before, and there were a lot of nights that I was pulling way more money than these girls that had all the things, beautiful outfits, all of the enhancements. So in my opinion, it's all just about vibe.
Totally.
Yeah. And when it comes down to it, like, I hate to even say this because I think that every dude has like their own preference, but I think that guys genuinely like natural girls a little bit more.
I think so
I think
too.
that it's a misconception that the more work you get done, the more appealing guys are gonna find you.
That's kind of how I feel as well. And I feel just like in general that there are just so many different types of bodies, so many different kinds of girls out there, that I think clubs and stuff kind of like to have a bit of variety, because it's kind of like a flavor for everybody kind of thing, you know?
Absolutely.
And like, yes, there are like a lot of fake boobs that I've seen, and a lot of fake lips and hair and eyelashes, everything. There's like, everything's fake nowadays.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it's almost becoming a bit commonplace. I mean, at least in Vancouver, some of the girls that I've seen and have worked with, which I find are like beautiful. I just personally don't think I can ever do that to my own body.
Yeah,
so,
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And like, kind of noting on what you just said there, is I find that the girls who get the most work done are always the girls that are the most naturally beautiful. The girls, like, there was this one weekend where I was like at JJ's actually, and I was with this lineup of girls that were like stunning. Like, I was shy to be around them a little bit. And I went back into the dressing room one time and they were all just sitting there talking about all the things that they wanted to change about their body. One girl was saying that she straight wanted to like move her face up because her forehead was too big. They were like,
what?
One girl got like a nose job. They both wanted to get boob jobs, blah, 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 blah. And I was like in shock. So I was like, you girls are like the most beautiful girls I've ever seen dancing. And you're the ones that feel the most pressure, the most insecure. Yeah. It was so surprising. Like, I don't know why it's always like the most gorgeous girls that have like the lowest confidence in their looks.
It's super weird, because I remember like having a girlfriend like that too. She's like one of my best friends growing up before when I was in university. It's kind of drifted apart now, but she was like super beautiful, like super exotic. She's like half Arab, half Chinese, and like looked like Kim Kardashian, like but pretty and all natural and everything. But then she was pretty flat, and then she just really wanted to get her boobs done. She like couldn't get her mind off getting her boobs done. And I'm like, you don't need your boobs. Like, seriously, like there's so many guys already after you and stuff, like, what kind of validation are you looking for? But in the end, I mean, I talked her out of it, but then she still ended up getting it done, like, many years later.
Classic.
Yeah, which is fine, because it's your body, it's whatever you want to do, but, like, I just don't think you ever need it. It's super weird to me.
I definitely agree.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes, like, in that whole conversation, too, when you walked in the change room and stuff, and everyone's just, like, talking about this, that, I want to get this, I feel like, you know, it's like getting a tattoo. Everyone's just like, oh, now I'm addicted, and I want to get more things done. I want to enhance this part. And, like, when is that ever going to be enough?
Absolutely. I feel like once you get one thing done, you just go down the rabbit hole of, like, well, I got this, I might as well just get that.
Yeah, might as well get
that. And that. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so many things that can be changed, but I don't know. I feel like every body is just, like, perfect exactly as it is when it's in a, like, homeostatic. You work out, you eat well, you're, like, taking good care of yourself.
Right.
Like, I think that everybody is beautiful, especially girls in the club. Like,
absolutely.
That's why we're here. That's why you're working here. Yeah, because you're fucking drop dead gorgeous already. Like, you don't need to do anything.
No, I don't think you need to have any additional work on that. And, like, plus, for me, personally, as a dancer, my forte would be definitely, like, my pole skills and my aerial skills and all the tricks that I, like, pull off in the club. You know, I feel like sometimes a lot of girls, like, can really rely on their looks, and that can be part of their whole set or their routine or whatever their vibe is on stage. It's all different. We all have something different to offer.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why so many different people come to, like, say the Penthouse or, like, Number 5 Orange and Brandy's, because they always have, like, a fantastic, like, really diverse lineup, right? So
absolutely.
So you mentioned, like, you wanted to possibly get your lips done. Was there anything that you, like, wanted or maybe have thought about or maybe toyed with the idea of, like, okay, maybe down in the future I'll get this done? And why lips?
I don't know.
It's so random.
I can't even really say for sure. I think it's just, like, that's a really, like, big thing on social media right now. It's just, like, all the girls have, like, lumpus lips, right?
Yeah.
So I was just, like, thinking about it, and I was like, maybe I'd like to get that done. But then I talked to my sister about it, and she was like, you do not need to get your lips done.
I don't think you need any work done personally.
Yeah,
but
thank you. But yeah, there's, like, I don't know. I think that everybody thinks about the things that they would, like, maybe want to get done. And for myself, like, nose job, for sure. Yeah.
Really?
I feel like everybody hates their nose. And I definitely, like, yeah, my nose is, like, not my favorite. But when it comes down to it, like you said, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of starting to change anything.
Right.
I like myself the way that I am, so
yeah. And plus, like, it sounds like you're super spiritual. You talk about, like, your vibe a lot and, like, different energies. Can you speak a bit on the whole spirituality aspect and what it's like to kind of have that and being in the right mindset in being an adult performer?
I don't know. To me, vibe is just everything.
Well, it's basically your intention and stuff for the day, and, like, it's how your outlook on life and stuff too. I just feel like like when you wake up in the morning, I always like to try to make an intention, like, what I want to achieve that day and, like, what kind of attitude I want to bring to the table. Because sometimes you wake up and, like, it's already a bad day, but, like, it's really up to you how you're going to spin that around, right? So
absolutely. Yeah, for me, it's just, like, I spend a lot of time just doing energy work. Like, I've been doing yoga since I was 17 years old. And so the spiritual aspect has always kind of been there for me. And I think that the reason that I labeled myself as the spiritual stripper is just because I feel as though sometimes within the industry, there's this idea that men just want to connect over something sexually and that they don't really want to get to know the deeper parts of you. And so for myself personally, like, I'm the kind of person that, like, I'll roll around the club and just, like, have real conversations with people. Like, I'm never the kind of girl that would, like, walk up to a guy and just, like, stick my boobs in their face and just be like, how you doing, honey? Like,
ew, gross.
Like, that's not really me. And, like, some girls can pull that off and, like, guys love it. But for myself, like, I'm the kind of girl that, like, I walk up to a guy and if there's a like chair open next to him, I'm like, do you mind if I sit down? And then I'm like,
so nice.
Yeah. I'm like, how's your night going? How you been? Blah, blah, blah. And, like, I'll talk about anything. Like, I'm not trying to keep things, like, super, like, light or breezy. Like, if I'm having a weird night, I'll talk about how I'm having a weird night. And I don't know, like, the strip club is kind of like the underworld a little bit.
Like, it's still taboo, right? And, like, still people, like, kind of view it as this thing, like, ew, only, like, dirty people go there and, like, dirty girls work there and everyone is having sex with everyone and everyone's on drugs and high on coke and all this shit. Like, it's such an old school way of thinking, and that's why I'm doing this podcast, because it's just, like, it's not fucking like that, guys. Like, what kind of, I don't know, like, there's so many movies, I guess, like, old movies that have pictured it like that, like, super seedy, and super seedy clubs exist. I get it, so that's, I guess, part of it, but at the same time, like, times have definitely changed.
They absolutely
need to, like,
have.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
need to like kind of open their minds a bit about that and to be like, okay, well, these girls are choosing to be here. You know, like we're not forced into this. You chose that you wanted to do this. It's just very, very interesting to me.
Yeah. Honestly, though, like regardless of how everything has changed, I will still say that I feel like it is like the underworld a little bit. It's kind of like the pit, and like not in a bad way. Like obviously, I love it. I feel like like every person has kind of like two aspects to themselves, like the shadow side and the light side, and I really enjoy kind of indulging in my shadow side, and I think that that's why I enjoy the club so much. Because yeah, like when I'm there, I don't even know, I can't even describe it, but I do feel like I've like crossed over into just like the underworld. It's kind of like the belly of the world a little bit.
So do you have more of like an alias or a character that you play when you're at the club, or you're normal?
I'm my normal
or just
self.
a normal, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you're kind of like me. We're both like really chill and really down to earth, and we're not like super hustly like that. Like I don't know, like some girls are like that. I'm just like having real conversations with people.
Yeah, like my intention whenever I go to the club is never to make money. It's always just to have a good night and just to enjoy myself and to connect with people, and that's why I make good money.
Exactly,
yeah,
and the money
when
will
you're there, just
materialize.
like when you're there, just like hustling all night, like
It's
number
exhausting.
one, it's no fun for me and it's no fun for anybody else. So that's never my vibe when I'm in the club. I always just like to keep things really real, and like even at the end of the night, if I haven't made a lot of money, I've still had a lot of good connections, and I'm not like fragmenting my soul in order to like be more appealing to people. I'm very whole and very much so myself. And if guys like that, then that's great, and if they don't like that, then that's fine.
There'll be some other girl that
yeah,
like, right?
exactly. Pick your fancy. There's someone. Yeah, there's something for everyone for sure.
Totally. And on the topic of money, would you say that the value of money has changed for you from when you first started to how it is now, or how would you view money?
Oh, fuck yeah. I was like, before this, like I said, I was a nanny, right?
Right.
And so I wasn't like nannying full time or anything. Like I was getting paid like a good amount nannying for sure. I was working for like this pretty rich family, and I had a really good gig going. And I was working like 20 hours a week and had a couple like whatever little like yoga and my own business, like side jobs.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Boss bitch, boss babe.
Just doing all the things. But I went away for one weekend to JJ's, and in 2 nights I made more money than I made in an entire month of nannying. Okay. Working like 10, 11-hour days a couple times a week. And when I was nannying, I'd have to wake up at like 5:30 in the morning and be at work for 7 and be there like all day. Like I was out of the house for 12 hours. It was really exhausting.
Whoa.
And so after I went and did that, I was just like,
this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I'm done here.
Yeah. And so I like basically immediately quit my nanny job.
Wow.
And I have this other family that I still nanny for,
just
kind of here and there. Yeah, just like once or twice a week when I'm in town and when they need it, which I really enjoy because, like I said, when I'm in the club, I'm kind of like in my shadow side. And working with kids, I'm very much so in my light side.
That's
so it
so
keeps me like
opposite.
Very grounded.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm just in general, I'm like very much so a nurturer. Like I love taking care of people. I love babying people. So being able to spend time with kids, it just like, it keeps my soul very fresh and light. So.
And wholesome.
And wholesome, yeah. Exactly.
It's so good to have that side
super
of you.
Wholesome.
Like it's like being a Libra, you want to have that balance between the two.
Exactly. I can't get like too heavy into one thing, or it kind of starts to wear me down a little bit. So I like to have the balance of both. And now I don't know, like I'm making better money than I ever have in my entire life.
Yay.
And it comes so easily, and it's really just like, stripping to me has always been a life hack. And like the further I get into it and the more money I start making, it's just like, it's definitely changed everything.
That's awesome.
And honestly, it's really good. But at the same time, I think that how good the money is also kind of dangerous, because I know that there are some women who are in the industry that should not be in the industry anymore. But once you start making that much money, it's really hard to walk away. Because there are a lot of other jobs where you're able to get those paychecks, especially considering how much work you put in. Right. And if you don't have an education, like entry-level jobs where you can go and make $5,000 in a weekend is like, that's not a thing, right?
No, that doesn't exist.
The money money can be a little bit dangerous. And I was actually dancing with this girl like maybe a month ago, and she had been in the industry for like quite a while. And she was like the biggest, like she's like, I know that you haven't been in the industry for very long, so I want to give you this like little snippet right now. The biggest like mistake that girls make when they first start dancing is that they make all this money and they just fucking blow it. Yeah, they blow all their money. She's like, you're young, you're making good money, invest it.
You should.
Go to school,
Absolutely.
buy property, do something with that money. And that really stuck with me. So I'm not like, yeah, I love dancing and yeah, I'm in it, but I'm definitely still doing all the things to make sure that I'm dancing because I want to dance and not because I have to, and that I'm still indulging in the things that are going to keep my soul happy. So like doing my blog, spending time with kids, doing yoga, meditating, like just doing all the things to still take really good care of myself and just set myself up for whatever I'm going to do after this.
Well, that really keeps you grounded, right? Because it's so easy to, again, get swept up in any industry, right? And especially when it comes to money, when you're making like a shit ton of money, it's just like, oh my gosh, life is so good. And but yeah, I do have to like definitely also agree with the person that said that, because I'm obviously a bit older. I'm 29. Money for me, everything that I make in terms of stripping usually goes to my mortgage. So it goes to bills or savings and stuff like that. Or if like I have a trip coming up, which is every month.
Nice. See, that's another good way to spend money as well.
It is.
Yeah, go and travel,
right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and it enriches your life as well. Like most people that know me on social know that I travel pretty extensively because of my full-time job. I work in luxury travel.
Oh, nice.
So I get to travel everywhere, but yeah, again, it's just having that balance and staying grounded and like knowing how hard it is to make that money and how
absolutely, and staying grateful for it.
And staying grateful, staying humble, right?
Absolutely, because there's a lot of times that like girls won't be having a good night in the club, and I've definitely I've been this girl before as well. But there are a lot of times that girls aren't making good money in the club, and they get so bitter about it and so sour about it. And it's like, girl, on your worst night in the club, you're still making like more money than people make in a 40-hour work week. A lot of the time, you know. So it's like, even if you're having a bad night, just like stay grateful for the fact that you have the opportunity to make fucking stacks. And maybe you have a bad weekend this weekend, but next weekend it's not going to be bad. And like at the end of the day, you're still like life hacking the shit out of this experience. So just like, just let it go on to the next weekend. Just
Are you there every weekend now then? Or like what is your schedule like?
It's kind of like whatever. I don't know. In July, I think I danced one weekend. August, I think this was my 4th weekend. September, I'm only going to dance once or twice. October, once or twice. I'm going to go in August, or in September, sorry, I'm like going to visit my family in interior BC right now. I'm going to Edmonton. I'm going to Tofino.
Oh, wow.
In October, I'm going to go down to California.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm like, I kind of just like, when I have a weekend where I can slot it in, I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it all the time.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to wear myself out on it.
No, definitely not. Because it is tiring. It's very physical again, right?
It is. So. Yeah, absolutely.
So we have a shit ton of questions here. Holy crap, I was so surprised. Like, this is insane. Thank you guys for sending all these like amazing questions in. So I guess we'll just power through it. This is like, as you can see, we're like looking over my like MacBook and like so many questions.
Yeah.
So here's some like interesting questions. How much do you make? What is the most you've ever made a night? This is an interesting question because it's kind of like asking your coworker at your normal job to be like, how much money do you make? What is your salary? I feel like it's such an interesting question. Of course, I'm really open about everything, but it can be like a touchy subject. Mm-hmm. But if you want to reveal how much you make, you can definitely answer the question. Up to you.
Yeah, of course. Every night that I dance, I always aim to make $1,000 a night.
Right.
Most money I've ever made in a night is $2,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and least that I've ever made in a night, I was at JJ's a couple weeks ago, and I was there for the entire weekend and made $250. And I had to rent a car and pay for gas to get there. So at the end of the weekend, I walked away with $90.
Oh, fuck.
So it's really hit or miss, right?
It's totally hit or miss.
It really depends. Yeah. Usually I'm pretty lucky with how much I make, but yeah.
That's amazing.
What about you? Do you mind if I ask you the same question?
Oh gosh, it's not that much. No, I don't make that much. I've definitely not made $2,000 in a night.
No.
No, but I've definitely made like upwards to like $800. I want to say.
Nice. That's solid.
pretty good. They say it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
It really depends on the club too, because I've made like Bank at number 5 Orange.
I believe that.
Yeah, and I've like Penthouses. I'm sure you've talked to lots of strippers too. They're like, oh, it's like really chill there, but you don't make the most money there. And I've usually booked a Penthouse for the week. And it depends on the day. So Tuesdays, Wednesdays are like dead as hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you get someone in that's just like fucking dropping bills. Because that happened on a Wednesday.
Every once in a while,
like,
you meet one of those guys.
Yeah, which is great. Or
absolutely.
like you get that one amazing customer that just like wants to like buy all the dances from you in VIP. And I'm like, yes, please. Like, let me just take your wallet at this point, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like shitty nights, yeah. I think I made like $40 one night. I'm like, this is lame, guys. This is lame.
It happens.
Yeah, but then of course, like with the booking fee and stuff, like you still get like a paycheck and at the end of the week and stuff too, which is like whatever, better than nothing. And then you're, depending on like your booker, your booked fee, and depending on your experience in terms of like pull tricks and stuff, that can be, I guess, it starts at like 45 up to like 75 or something like that.
That's solid.
For sure. So yeah, and I'm not at the bottom and I'm not at the top, although I am close to the top. So it's good because my pull tricks are awesome. So we went over these questions a little bit, how you started stripping, what made you do that. Do you remember your first show? You told me about that at the CBS fucking place.
Yeah, first show was not good.
And I guess we went over this too, how much money was enough money to quit your job. Obviously, it's pretty substantial. Do you think there's less pressure today on body manipulation?
I think so. Yeah, there was actually one girl that I was talking to at the club a couple weeks ago who was talking about how she regretted getting her boobs done, but back when she had started dancing, there was a lot of pressure
at that time.
Yeah, to have really big boobs. And she was like, my boobs were nice before. Like, I wish I hadn't given into the pressure.
Wow.
And I personally have not felt any pressure to get any work done. Good. So I can't say necessarily because I haven't been in it that long, but I think
but
so.
as for now, so I'll check in in the year from now.
Yeah, exactly.
All the work done.
Little do you know, next time you log onto my Facebook, I'm like,
who is this girl? Do you think society is more appreciative of variable bodies now?
I would say hell yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it used to be that the kind of like standard of beauty was just like really stick thin girls. And now it's
big ass tits.
Yeah. And now it's like, I feel like a lot of people are moving into just like wanting like thick.
Yeah,
you know,
thick
just
and like lots of
big
booty.
Butt, nice thick thighs. Like the compliments that I get the most is on my butt and on my thighs. Like thighs a lot, which I never thought would be something that guys would be like attracted to, but I think that guys like thick.
Big thighs save lives, man.
Yeah,
it's a thing. Do you ever feel attracted to your clients?
Oh yeah.
There's definitely some hot ones. No.
Yeah, but there's like I have like at Brandy's I have like a couple regulars, and there's one that I was like giving a dance to last night, and I was like, oh, you're so gorgeous.
So it's normal, guys. Like it's just like plain attraction, right? So like if you find someone hot, you're gonna find someone hot. Doesn't matter like if they're paying. I mean, if they're paying, it's kind of hotter that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. When someone's spending bills, it's like, oh,
yes, please.
Yeah.
Is there any competition between you and the other dancers? Is there ever any drama worth spilling?
Oh God, competition between me and dancers all the time. I personally, like, I don't really talk to other girls when I'm in the club because I find that a lot of the time their vibe is just like pretty like low and kind of judgmental, and I don't really like to like surround myself with that energy. And because I'm always making good money, I think that girls don't love me. Yeah,
well,
which
when
is
they
too
see,
bad.
like when I see other chicks, like, you know, when I'm doing VIP and stuff, like I talked to that guy fucking 2 times already. He's talked to every girl, and then the one girl just seems to get him at the right time.
Yeah.
Or maybe is just so much better with their words. I just suck at VIP. I fucking hate it. I only like doing stage, so like that's just me. But
all I do is VIP.
Yeah, and that honestly, guys, that's like where the money is, and we will have a VIP episode that's later coming up as well. Yeah, all the money is in VIP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stage is not a lot of money, so I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But I love it because I love the tricks and the artistry
it's fun,
and stuff too, right?
Stage is like I don't know. I do genuinely love giving lap dances, but stage is super fun. Yeah, because it's like that's where you perform, right?
Yeah, I like love that too. So
yeah. And what was the any drama worst?
Do you have any stories? Because I feel like a lot of the times, like, people just think girls are so fucking catty. Like I could speak on my own terms with the dancer side. There's never any cattiness ever. But definitely, I hear all the fucking drama. Because basically at Penthouse, for example, it's like one room for the features and then one room for all the VIPs. And there's always, like, so much drama, like, happening there. Like, if I can just, like, slip in my mic and record, like, on a Friday, Saturday night, it's so juicy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it can be catty on that side, for sure.
I personally have never had any drama in the club just because I am, like, so amicable.
Yeah.
So
super easy to get along with.
Yeah, I've had, like, hella mean girls. Like, at JJ's, all the girls, like, stay together. Like,
what, cliquey?
Well, no, it's like, there's, like, a dressing room and then there's accommodation, like, attached to the dressing room. So when you're there, you're all, like, spending, like, the entire weekend together.
Right.
And so I've had it before where there have been, like, straight, like, mean girls that are, like, super mean to me. But I always just take the high road and just, like, de-escalate and just kind of, like, dip out. So I personally have never had any drama, but last time I was at JJ's, fell asleep at 3:30 in the morning to two girls straight screaming at each other in the dressing room. So it definitely happens. Especially when people aren't making good money.
Right.
Yeah, when the girls aren't making good money, that's when people, like, really start butting heads. And I actually, like, that weekend, I went into the dressing room and one of the girls was, like, sitting on the couch and, like, looking kind of down, and one of the other girls was like, oh, what's up? And she was straight up just like, I just hate watching other girls make money when I'm not making money. And I was just like,
well, you gotta do something about it. You can't be in the freaking, like, sitting on her ass in the dressing room complaining about not making money if we're not downstairs.
Absolutely. And not only that, for me personally, like, if I see girls selling dances, sometimes in my head I'll be like, oh fuck, like, I wanted to go and talk to that guy and I didn't, and then she just got a dance from him. But at the end of the day, I'm always just like, good for her.
Yeah.
Because everybody's there to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So what? Like, just because you want to make money, nobody else is allowed to make money?
Yeah.
It's like, why don't you just, like, switch around your mindset to be like, wow, good for you. You know, I might not have sold that dance, but you did, and you're making money, and I'm like, I'm happy for you.
Right.
And that switches everything around. And it's like those tiny little energetic shifts that makes such a big difference in just keeping your vibe right and keeping your energy up. Because if you sit there all night at the back of the club just fucking hating on girls, nothing consumes more of your energy than hate and fear. But if you keep your vibe in alignment with love and gratitude, you're going to have endless energy all night. Your vibe's always going to be on point. You're always going to have a good night.
And people are attracted to the energy as well.
Absolutely.
No one wants, like, a sulky bitch.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not attractive at all. It's not cute.
No. Why would guys want to buy a dance from somebody who just, like, is straight up not having a good time?
Yeah.
Like,
might
that's
as well
not
just
why
stay
guys
at
go to
home.
strippers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you VIP, are the clients allowed to request anything? Are there any limitations?
I don't know if I should say this.
Tiptoe around the subject here.
Yeah. So technically, okay, at JJ's, the staff is really tight about you not allowing guys to touch.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally like contact. So when I'm dancing at Brandy's, like, my only rule is just, like, don't touch my vagina. And I kind of, like, let guys go, like, free reign. Unless I'm uncomfortable with them, then I won't allow it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I really don't mind.
Much more intimate that way, too.
Yeah, it's just more fun. Like, I like it. It feels a lot more, like, sensual and just, like, attractive.
And most clubs are no touch in Vancouver, like, with the exception of, like, Number 5 Orange.
Yeah. So I don't let anything, like, crazy go on. But yeah, like, I like to have a little bit of fun. And are the clients allowed to request anything? The only, like, real request that I get is, like, can I have a blowjob or something? And I'm just like, no.
No.
See you later.
Yeah. And, like, usually the VIP rooms, like, there's always cameras, guys. There's always cameras in the booth. There's always, like, a bouncer right outside.
Yeah.
And you'd best believe they were fucking quick on that shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, because I accidentally, well, not really accidentally, my friend asked for a dance when I was dancing at Penthouse a few weeks ago, and whatever, he's my friend. He does my photography. I'll, like, nude shots. But anyways, I was like, yeah, whatever, you can touch my ass. Like, it's fine. It's no big deal. And then, of course, like, the DJ, like, 2 seconds into the dance, like, hey, buddy, hands on the chair.
Really?
Like, not to touch. I'm like, sorry.
Totally. See, and I find
Yeah.
like same thing at JJ's, but at Brandy's, I allow it. And I've had it before where like there'll be a really touchy dance that I do, and then I go back to the people who are like watching the cameras and collecting the money, and I'm like, hey, is that too handsy? And they're like, no, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's kind of just like a personal preference thing. I personally like the contact, but some clubs won't allow it. It depends on where you're
It just
at.
depends where you go. When you started dancing, can you scope out the people you want to avoid, if there are ever people you want to avoid? And how do you deal with creeps?
Scope out people that I want to avoid. Honestly, like usually I'll just like walk around the club and kind of connect with everybody. But I can tell immediately as soon as I start talking to somebody, like if I like their vibe or don't like their vibe. And if within the first couple seconds of conversation I don't like it, then I'll just like
Dip
skirt.
out.
Yeah, exactly. And what was
And
the
how do you
second part of
deal with
that?
creeps?
How do I deal with creeps? Okay, well, I've been really lucky in that I actually don't ever really have any creepy dudes or
Awesome.
yeah, like I've never
Me
really
neither.
no,
Actually.
I've never really had issues with that. I don't
Knock
know
on wood.
why. Yeah, so I've been really blessed with that. There have been a couple guys that have asked for dances from me that they weren't creepy, but there was something about their energy that just kind of weirded me out. They were definitely like super drug dealer styles.
Yeah, like
And
off or something.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit off, and they were nice enough. They weren't rude or anything, but like their energy, just like when I got too close to them, I just like felt like a little bit weird, and so I gave them a dance. I kept all my clothes on. I danced a couple feet away. I didn't offer a second song, and it was just like just
thank
on
you.
with the night. Yeah, exactly.
And on to the next one.
Yeah, have a good night. See you next time.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
You're still winning at that point, so
Yeah,
it's all
exactly.
good. Do you have any favorite clubs?
Brandy's for sure.
Yeah, Brandy's is
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
I fucking love Brandy's.
Well, it's just like so OG there, and like it's very like top tier entertainment there. They have big feature shows there. Same with JJ's actually too.
Oh man, the stage girls are amazing.
So
Like,
mesmerizing there.
Yeah, when I'm not selling dances, I literally just sit there and watch the girls, and I'm just like, wow, they're fucking gorgeous.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
I like this setup of like how they
Just
have the
circular.
rails around.
Yes.
Yeah, and I really like last night actually on Sundays. It's like at the very end of the night they'll let like the VIP girls go on stage.
At
So
the
I
end
went
of
and
the night.
did stage.
Oh,
Oh my god,
how'd
it was
that go?
so much fun. It
So
was
much fun.
so good.
And like all the money
All
at
the money.
end of the night. Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly what
exactly.
you're talking
So
about.
I was just like literally walking around, just like sticking my boobs in dudes' faces and just like leaning over the rail, and it was just like, yeah, it was super
Fun.
hot. It was so fun.
The stage is very fun to dance in.
Yeah, that was definitely like the highlight of my weekend for
Yay.
sure. Yeah, it was super good.
And do you prefer dancing like, in your city, or do you prefer other cities? Well, I guess Vancouver.
Yeah, so I'm from Edmonton originally. I've never danced there. And now I live in Victoria. I never got a chance to dance at the Fox.
Right, yeah, because that closed down recently.
Yeah,
too.
it did. And then JJ's is on the island, but it's not really very close.
It's like
so
a few hours drive. Yeah, it's
like
far.
2.5 hours. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I've never really had the opportunity to dance in my city.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure if I would want to or not. I really like coming to
Right.
Vancouver. It's
Cool.
nice. Like, I really like to travel, so it's nice to have
Yeah.
the opportunity to go on like a little outing.
And it's not too far, too. It's like
No.
within reason, which
I
is
just
kind
take
of
the
nice.
seaplane over. It's like half an hour.
Oh, yes.
It's
Easy. Downtown to downtown.
Yeah,
Done.
exactly.
Can never do the
Done.
ferry anymore.
No, it
I'm
takes
just not a
hours.
fan. Okay, some more questions about the VIP room. What happens in VIP? Can you offer more services other than dances? If you want to talk about maybe your experience in the States too, because you said people were asking for like blowjobs. and
Yeah,
shit,
well, nobody asked me for blowjobs when I was in the States.
but people do that. don't
Yeah, at that one club for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at
So
at
sketchy.
certain clubs they'll kind of allow it, I guess. But I do not offer any more services. No, it's not my style. I have guys ask me all the time if I'll go home with them, and I always
Yes.
say $5,000. I'm like,
Yeah,
you can take
something
me home for
ridiculous.
$5,000.
Yeah, I'm like $10,000.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Thanks.
and just kind of like keep it going. And then in VIP room, like what happens? Like just lap dances. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's hard to describe. Like past that, it's
I
like
know.
a lot of bumping, a lot of grinding,
Lots of grinding.
a lot of taking my top off, taking my bottoms off.
Just very
and
sensual, guys.
Super
Like
sensual.
basically, just buy a dance from us, and you will understand what it's like.
Yes.
Enough said.
Come visit us. Yeah. that's the perfect way to put it. You
Right?
can't really describe it. It's just like a
No.
feeling.
It's just a feeling, and it
Yeah.
just depends on the song too. It depends on your
it depends
vibe
on the
that night.
girl.
Yeah, so it just really depends. Do you get a choice in terms of what music you dance to? Is it up to the DJ?
When you do stage, you get a choice.
Yes.
But when you're in VIP, there's just like a playlist playing.
Yeah, like
Which
whatever's
is too
on.
bad. It would be super fun to be able to choose my own songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Maybe one day in the future, and like Boost will have like their own customized playlist.
Oh
or
my
something.
god,
That'd be cool,
that would
right?
be so lit, actually.
Someone start this shit.
Hello, is anybody listening?
And has anything ever gone wrong with a client?
Oh, this past weekend, actually. Okay,
Oh.
It was so fucking ridiculous. So there was this guy that I was giving dances to, and I gave him a couple dances, and I was like, okay, you're good for it. And he like pulls out this envelope of $7,000, all in hundreds, and gets me to count it all out for him, so I know he has $7,000 in hundreds. So I just keep dancing for him, and he's like, I'm good for it. You know I'm good for it. You know I'm good for it. So I ended up giving him like at least 10 songs, and I was like, okay, like this is it. Oh, and then he got up because he thought he was gonna throw up because he was super hammered.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so he got up and I was like, before you go, you need to pay me. And he gave me $200.
What?
And I was like, you owe me $500. And he's like, no, you danced like 3 songs for me. And I was like, dude, we've been in here for like over a half an hour. Like, you owe me $500.
Oh my God.
And he was like, I already gave you $400. Like, why are you trying to scam me out of this money? Blah, 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 blah.
What?
Yeah.
Did you talk to the bouncer or anything?
I did, yeah. And it was just like, he just wouldn't give it to me. They were just like, it's not like we can go in his pocket and take his money from him, you know?
Oh,
so I ended up getting $300 total from him.
Fuck.
And was just like, you need to leave the club right now. Like, you're not fucking welcome here. If this is how you're gonna treat girls. Yeah, he immediately left. He immediately walked out. Yeah.
So I was trying to get money up front.
Yeah, well.
I was like, so $40 or this, that, blah, blah.
Yeah, and I was just like, he had so much money that I was just like, why would anybody,
That's
why
a
would somebody with
trick.
$7,000 in his pocket, like, get weird about $500, you know?
So
but it was because he was so hammered. It was just like, there was no reasoning with him. There was no convincing him.
Oh, man. I'm
So,
sorry that happened to you.
Yeah,
really
it was
shitty.
It ended up being all right. Like, I got $300 out of the $500, and then I went up to the guy who was taking like the fee from the dance and was just like, hey, I'm so sorry about this, but this guy ended up just like fucking me over for a few songs, and he was like, just give me the fee for 5 songs. And just like lesson learned. And I was like, okay, dope. So it didn't end up being the end of the world. I didn't let it get to me. It was just like one asshole.
Yeah. And they exist, unfortunately.
They do. Past that, I've never really had many issues.
Good.
Yeah, that was
generally
one.
They've been like pretty positive experiences, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually I have a lot of fun. I've never had guys try and like con me out of money. I always have a lot of fun at my dances. So.
Good.
Yeah.
On that note, that's the end of our questions. But most importantly, where can we find you?
Ooh, what do you mean? Like in terms of like on the web?
Everywhere. On the web, where are you dancing next? Like what's your social? If you have a blog, anything you want to promote?
Yeah, so my Instagram account is The Real Spiritual Stripper. In my bio, you're able to find the link to my blog. I'm pretty sure it's thespiritualstripper.ca. And then I always keep everything updated with what clubs I'm heading to next. Chances are you're going to find me at Brandy's. I'm going to be heading there this upcoming weekend. I don't know if this episode will have aired
This
by
will probably
then.
be in October.
In October, okay.
Yeah, we're recording in September, guys.
Yeah, well, definitely just peep my Instagram then and you'll be able to figure out where I am and come and get a dance from me.
Definitely get a dance from her. She's a total sweetie. She's a total babe. Thank you so much for being on the show, Lily Luv, guys.
My pleasure.
And more new episodes again every Sunday on Strip by Sia. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Yay!